Hello, everyone. Tassif here, back with another live stream. Please let me know who's here so I can say hello. We're going to be talking about the Great American Solar Eclipse. Very exciting topic, very fascinating. And before I get into the discussion, I would just like to find out who's here. So as you are joining, say hello in the chat window. I'll wait for maybe another minute before I jump into the discussion. All right, my friends. So tomorrow is the Great American Solar Eclipse, and here I am at 10:02 p.m. here in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm doing this live stream because I have some thoughts I want to share about the Great American Solar Eclipse. And before I jump into the discussion, I just want to find out who's here. It's always wonderful if people can join and participate in the conversation. So as you are joining, write something in the chat window. Terry is here. Terry writes, South Dakota is still alive. South Dakota is definitely still alive. We love South Dakota. So Terry, thank you for joining. Oh, I see more people have joined. Please, I did not go into the discussion yet, so this is still time for greeting, to say hello. And so please write in the chat window who's here, write the state that you're from, write to me and let me know if your community is in the path of totality. And I'm referring to the eclipse, the great, not just any eclipse. This is the Great American Total Solar Eclipse, okay? So simply saying it's an eclipse, it doesn't express the magnitude of the event. So to clearly say what this is, you're going to have to say this is the Great American Total Solar Eclipse. So South Dakota is not in the path of the eclipse, Terry. Neither is Wisconsin. Wisconsin is not in the path of the total solar eclipse. I know Illinois is, but not all of Illinois. You go to southern Illinois, that's where you get to see the excitement. People flocking to southern Illinois, one of 15 American states that will be on the path of totality. We're learning a lot of new terms. We're learning a lot of new things. We're gaining scientific knowledge. Now, you may already be a scientist. I don't know that. But if you are, let's say, somebody with not much knowledge of science and astronomy, guess what? Now is your chance to learn. These are the days for learning. You get to learn about the solar eclipse and what exactly happens. You've got the sun, you've got the earth, and then you've got the moon that comes between the sun and the earth in a way that from the path of totality, if you're in the path of totality, if you're in a community, a city, village, town, in the path of totality, you're going to be seeing the eclipse. You're going to be seeing how the moon moves and blocks the sun and then moves away afterwards, okay? So reportedly, that period of the moon blocking the sun is going to be 4 minutes and 28 seconds, okay? I didn't come up with the math. If you are thinking that I did all kinds of astronomical stuff and I did all kinds of calculations and figured out the duration of the totality, then let me disappoint you by saying that I didn't come up with the number, okay? So I'm not going to take credit for it. How did I find out? Well, I read it in the news, all right? I I read it in the news um, that it's going to be 4 minutes and 28 seconds. Did I say that right? 4 minutes, not 4 hours. All right. It would be nice if it was 4 hours, but it's 4 minutes and 28 seconds. That's going to be the totality. All right. So if you are in Dallas, or if you are in like what, Carbondale, Illinois, I think is in the path of totality, and there's so many other communities, right? So if you are in one of those areas that falls within the path of totality, you're going to have 4 minutes and 28 seconds of life-changing view. All right? Because there's a spiritual aspect to this eclipse. Life is not going to be the same. This is a period of transformation, my friends. So enjoy this life, and then enjoy the 4 minutes and 28 seconds of eclipse, because after that, after watching the eclipse, life's going to be transformed. How? I don't know. But I believe this is going to be a great transformational event that people are about to experience, right? The Great American Total Solar Eclipse. You have to say the whole thing. Don't just say eclipse, all right? That doesn't tell you anything. Terry writes, yeah, you haven't been married. Terry, that's by choice. I love the freedom that I have. So that's why I'm not married. I love my freedom. All right. Pamela Hernandez is here. Pamela writes, evening, my friends. Pamela, thank you for joining. I hope you're having a wonderful evening. Terry is also writing, hi, Pamela. Pamela, what I was saying is that this eclipse is going to be life-altering. In what ways? I don't know that yet, because I can't predict the future, but I have a feeling that life's going to be very different after the eclipse. This celestial event that's going to be taking place is going to bring us closer to the universe. Now, how can we come closer to the universe? We're already part of the universe. I think spiritually we're going to feel closer and closer to the universe. We're going to be more aware, not just of our surroundings on Earth, but of our surroundings in the galaxy. All right? It's going to be an awesome event. I know that, but I also can guarantee that I'm not going to be looking at the eclipse. I don't have eclipse glasses. And if you are wondering, Tosif, what's going on? Why don't you have eclipse glasses? You need eclipse glasses for tomorrow. That's the number one thing you're going to need tomorrow. First, you're going to need a big breakfast, and then you're going to need eclipse glasses so you can enjoy the eclipse, even if it's partial eclipse. Well, let me tell you. Terry is writing a funny comment, Terry. Let me tell you. I'm looking forward to a big breakfast tomorrow. All right. I'm looking forward to a nice cup of tea included in the breakfast. Okay. Something, a cup of tea that's going to be giving me a lot of energy, in a cup that says, get it done. All right. So if you need a lot of energy to power you for whatever the day has for you, you're going to have to drink your morning beverage in a cup that says, get it done. All right. Something inspirational. Anyway, after my breakfast, am I going to be looking at the eclipse? No, I'm not going to be looking at the eclipse. Okay. Why? Because we live in a free country. I can do what I want. I'm not looking at the eclipse. It's by choice. I don't want to. All right. Other people are going to be looking at the eclipse. I'm going to be talking to them afterwards. I'm going to say, hey, did you look at the eclipse? And they'll say, yeah, it was great. I said, did you wear eye protection? And they're going to say, yeah, we did have eye protection. I said, I'm going to say, great. Now tell me, how do you feel? What did you feel during the eclipse? How did you feel afterwards? Did your views about life change? Did your goals change? Are you still the same person, or are you now taking your life on a different path? So I'm going to be doing a comprehensive analysis about about the psychological and the spiritual impact of the great American total solar eclipse after the eclipse is over. All right. Anyway, let's see. Terry writes, Monticello Library has some for free. Terry, I was going through Monticello just what, 2 days ago, I think? On Saturday. On Saturday. Oh, it was yesterday. Oh, see, I can't keep track of time. I was driving through Monticello. By the way, Monticello is in beautiful Greene County, Wisconsin. And if you want great cheese and great dairy products, you have to come to Greene County. Pamela writes, I heard that the eclipse is coming around 10. We just to go forward, stay positive. Yep. So, depending on where you are, Pamela, you are in California, and so you're going to be closer to the entry point of the eclipse in terms of how it gets to the U.S. and gets out. So, starting from Mexico, it's going to enter the United States, and then it's going to cross the U.S., go towards New York, Maine, and our neighboring country of Canada. So each state is in a different schedule, and Wisconsin is not in the path of totality. So I'm not sad about it. Some folks are. Um Pamela writes, "You don't. Yes, don't remind me." So you're saying I shouldn't remind you that you're in California, Pamela? Well, it's a beautiful state. You just need different elected officials, a Republican governor, 2 Republican U.S. senators, and a Republican state legislature. That's what you need, and some conservative district attorneys also. Um, all right, so this eclipse, I mean, it's kind of mind-boggling. The sun is 400 times bigger than the moon. Okay, did I get that right? Okay, let me do a fact check. I think that's what it is, but I'm gonna check it again. So the sun is 400 times. Yes, the sun is about 400 times further away than the moon, and it's also about 400 times bigger, which is amazing. So the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon. So you may be wondering, how is it that this tiny little moon is going to block this huge sun in the sky? Well, that's because the sun is about 400 times farther away than the moon. So the sun is big, very, very big, massive, but it's farther away from us, and the moon is closer to us. And so that's why this tiny little moon is going to come crawling and then will block the sun, and then people are going to be amazed here on Earth. They're going to have their cameras ready. They're going to have their eye protection, and then Pamela, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. I was going to talk about the animals. I was going to talk about the animals, and you mentioned the animals already. Thank you for that. Let's talk about the animals. The animals, are they going to sense something different? Maybe they will be. I don't know. That's why I think it'll be interesting to pay attention to the animals. And it's not just the animals here on Earth. What about the animals who live underwater? What about the the fishes and the whales and the animal kingdom that lives underwater? What's going to happen to them? And when we think about living beings, I think the eclipse is going to affect all living beings. And by living beings, I mean plants have life too, right? Trees have life. So how will the eclipse affect the plants and the trees? Something to think about, right? Um, you know, th- one lifetime is not long enough to study everything that we want to study, right? And so I wish I knew more about the impact of solar eclipse, total solar eclipse, the Great American Total Solar Eclipse, on animals and also those living creatures living underwater, as well as the plants and the trees. Terry writes, can you put your thumb up and block your sight of a tree in the distance too? Yes, absolutely. It's all about the angles. It's about the distance and the angles, right? Uh, Pamela writes, I read that we need to keep dogs and cats indoors. Might be a good idea. Might be a good idea. Um, but if the dogs and cats they want to go outdoors and enjoy the eclipse, what then? Um, how are they going to even ask? I mean, they can't speak, right? But you never know. The cat may come up and say, "Hey, I want to go out." Meow, meow, meow. So then you understand that the cat wants to go outside. Then what you're going to do is hand eye protection to the cat, so the cat can safely enjoy the eclipse. All right. All right. Let's see. No, I think it'll be so. Let's be serious. I think it'll be interesting to observe what how the animals behave, not just during the eclipse, but before the eclipse. Pamela writes, "Are people going to act crazy?" Well, Pamela, great question. Great question. Well, Terry is writing, will all the wildlife go blind? Well, Terry, the wildlife, who knows? They may be wise enough to not look up at the sun, right? Or maybe their eyes are made differently and they're going to be somehow protected. I don't know. All right. So let's see. Pamela is writing, are people going to act crazy? Pamela, that's a great question. And Terry is writing, Tossif is already acting crazy. No, Terry, I'm just being my true self. Tom is here. Tom writes, smash and grab time. What does that mean, Tom? You mean people acting crazy? Now, okay, so let's discuss this, Pamela. Let's be serious. Let's discuss this. Is there a possibility that people may act crazy? That may happen. And in fact, I was watching an interview in which, a TV interview in which a law enforcement official said that during an eclipse, there may be an increase in the number of cases of domestic violence and road rage. Road rage, okay? Domestic violence and road rage. Now, will other kinds of crimes also go up? Crimes of passion? Is there a possibility that crimes of passion will increase? I don't know. I think some people believe that our emotions may be affected. Our psychological state may be affected. And people may either be extremely happy, happier than usual, or they may be sad. In fact, I heard somebody say that about 50% of the people that this individual who I'm talking about, I actually learned about it from the news, but this individual whose comments were being reported in the news, he said that about half of the people, according to his observation, they cry when they see the eclipse. When people see the eclipse, they cry. Now, is it tears of joy, or tears of realization that we are very tiny in this gigantic universe? Is it tears of some kind of spiritual awakening? I don't know, but I believe that people may act differently before the eclipse, leading up to the eclipse, during the eclipse, and I think even after the eclipse. I think this is my personal belief that this eclipse is going to be a period of transformation. Now, transformation can mean many things. It can mean, um, you know, that um, you have a change in the way you see life that takes you closer to the path of fulfilling your life's purpose. Or it may mean that it puts you on a path that takes you away from what you've always wanted to be. I mean, it can be good, it can be bad. I don't know if the transformation will be positive or it'll be negative. But I think this eclipse is going to be a period of transformation. Let me look at the comments here. Terry writes, "No, their eyes are not different." So Terry is referring to um, Terry is referring to the eyes of the animals. And Terry also writes, "I'm going to speed down my gravel road tomorrow." Terry, that's going to be quite a sight if you're like going speeding down your gravel road and all the dust and everything up in the air. Pamela is laughing. All right, Terry writes, "Oh, wait, I do that anyway." Terry, tomorrow you're going to slow down as you go down the gravel road. Um, uh, Terry writes, "God, I hope everybody become a sane Republican." So, a good question. Will there be changes in people's political views after watching the eclipse tomorrow? I mean, it'll be interesting to pay attention to the members of Congress and see if they do things differently. Um, Pamela writes, "Different. I should say, I thought it would be robbery." Crimes may happen. Crimes may take place. If people are feeling different, if if there are triggers that work, is the eclipse going to trigger feelings of helplessness? Will the eclipse trigger feelings of aggression? Will the eclipse trigger feelings of sorrow or feelings of joy? We don't know, and I think the effect may be different on different people. But I think practically looking at things, we're seeing how people are in large numbers going to these small towns and cities, and they are driving along the interstate. They are going to communities where that will be on the path of totality. And so whenever you have a large gathering of people, there's always that risk of crime. There's always that risk of lawlessness. Okay, there may be thefts, there may be robberies, there may be crimes of passion, and I don't know. So anyway, let's see. Terry says, "I want you to do a thorough survey of how people think they changed." Terry, I could do a survey. It's probably all going to be self-reported, right? I mean, all I can do is ask people, "Hey, how are you feeling? Did your life goals change? Are you thinking differently? Are you having some kind of awakening?" Um, I could ask people those questions and find out. Maybe like all of my viewers on this channel can self-report if they're feeling any kind of change, if they're feeling better or they're feeling more concerned. Uh, Pamela writes, "Will it affect the White House indoors?" You're um, Terry writes, "Call up Madison police or ask newspaper can do an article." Oh, by the way, I gotta tell you one thing. Okay, so this is I'm just mentioning a side note here. One of my letters to the editor, I wrote a letter to the editor that was published. Hold on. That was published by the Capital Times. That's the newspaper in Wisconsin. So I wrote a letter to the editor, and they published it yesterday. And you're going to love this. You're going to love the title of the letter that I wrote. Do you know the title? It goes like this: Wisconsin voters ready to embrace Trump. Wisconsin voters ready to embrace Trump. Okay. And I wrote about the Republican primary, the Democratic primary, the spring election, and how inflation, energy price hike, border crisis, and diminishing American influence are making voters, want Trump back in the White House because inflation is basically Biden-inflation, energy price hike is because of Biden's war on fossil fuels, border crisis is Biden's border crisis, and diminishing American influence in the world, that's because of Biden's poor foreign policy. And so I basically wrote a letter to the editor and I explained why uh, Wisconsin voters are ready to elect Trump. That has been published. I can share a link to that hopefully. Uh, let's see. Pamela writes, more immigrants rushing to the borders. Pamela, great point. What's going to happen during the eclipse? Will there be more illegal immigration? Will illegal immigration spike? Will it jump on the day of the eclipse? I don't know. Terry writes, did you get right the title? Did you get to write the title? Yeah, Wisconsin voters ready to embrace Trump. Absolutely. Yep. So, all right. Terry writes, Biden has to go to the basement during eclipse. Oh, I don't know about that. Maybe Biden will choose to watch the eclipse. Who knows? Remember Trump in 2017? He chose to watch the eclipse. He was standing there with Melania Trump and with their son, and Trump was he had his eclipse goggles, but then there was that one point in which he took the glasses off and he kind of looked up at the eclipse without any eye protection. He did that. Trump did that. Let's see. Uh, Terry writes, yeah, but Biden will think it's bedtime. Terry, you have interesting and funny comments today, Terry. Uh, all right. So Pamela had asked, will it affect the White House indoors? I don't know. We have to find out. Pamela writes, Tossif, well, will it affect the resident in the White House? The resident in the White House, I don't know. The resident in the White House already has caused a lot of destruction, financial destruction in the country, economic destruction, has created the border crisis. So I don't know if the eclipse is going to affect the resident in the White House. We have to wait and see. I mean, maybe Biden will start doing more press conferences. Wouldn't that be nice? Right? I mean, he always seems to run away from the microphones and the cameras. I mean, he does a few little interviews here and there, but nothing major, not as much as Trump. So maybe I'm hoping after the eclipse, Biden will decide, hey, I'm going to be in front of the cameras more often. I'm going to answer questions. I'm going to answer Peter Ducey's question. I want Joe Biden to answer the questions that Peter Ducey of Fox News asks. I want him to answer Peter Ducey's questions. Will he do that? So anyway, my friends, tomorrow's going to be interesting. And let me just say that sun is, as I said, sun is 400 times bigger than the moon, but the moon is closer than the sun. So we have this small little celestial body, that is the moon, blocking out the massive star that is the sun. And so Is the sun going to be upset? The sun is probably going to be upset. The sun's going to say, how dare you block my sunlight, moon? And so there's going to be that spiritual clash between the sun and the moon. And how is that going to affect us on this earth? Is the sun going to fight back? Is the sun going to say, I'm going to shine bright, but the moon is blocking me for 4 minutes, 28 seconds? That is unacceptable. And as soon as the moon goes away, the sun's going to shine even brighter. Is that going to happen? Then again, will there be clouds? Are we going to see clouds in the sky? That's one other point. A lot of folks are worried. Those who are looking forward to the eclipse, they've got their goggles ready. They are worried that what if there are clouds? Then they won't be able to enjoy the eclipse. They won't be able to see the totality. What's going to happen then? Excuse me. Terry writes, Trump raised 50 plus million last week. That is awesome. More funds raised, the better. All right. KTL. KTL, are you new on this channel? I don't know if I saw you before, KTL. If this is your first time, I want to say welcome. Or, if you've been on this channel before, if you've seen my videos and my live streams before, then I want to thank you for that as well. But is this your first time tuning into a live stream? Please let me know that. And, it's always wonderful to see new people joining the live stream. As I always say, I want this community to grow. And we talk about social and political issues, both domestic and international, but sometimes we like to discuss the eclipse, as we're doing here today. Let's see, KTL, if you want to answer, you can. I'm going to wait for your answer for a few moments. Let me know if this is your first time here. So KTL is writing about Joe Biden and the eclipse. Yeah, so is I'm sure Joe Biden has staff to remind him that it's the day of the eclipse, and maybe they'll have some eclipse glasses ready for him. Who knows? You know what would be really awesome? I mean, people have these eclipse glasses, but wouldn't it be awesome to have an eclipse glasses signed by Donald Trump, or maybe even better, like a Trump 45, 47, an eclipse glass with that writing printed on it, Trump 45, 47, meaning he was the 45th president and he's going to be the 47th president. Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, maybe like I don't know if the folks who are staying at Trump's properties, are they getting Trump branded eclipse glasses? Maybe they are. That'd be awesome. It's likely going to be golden colored, right? Because Trump likes the color golden, I think. Terry writes, lots of clouds in the forecast. I know, I saw that. There are people in Texas who are kind of sad because there's clouds in the forecast. And, so here's what's going on. Hotels have been booked. In the communities that are on the path of totality, hotels are booked. People are camping, okay? People have tents. So those who couldn't find hotel, or they couldn't find some other kind of accommodation, they are using tents, they are camping. And I was just watching in the news that a small community, I forget what community it was, maybe someplace in Arkansas, or maybe Ohio, they are expecting like massive numbers of people on the day of the eclipse. And so they have like 200 or more than 200 porta potties. Okay. They have like hundreds of porta potties so that people can use them as and when required. All right. Tourism Um, oh, Katie L says, "Hi, Toss. If I'm Katie, you know me from RPDC. I've seen your awesome podcast before. Um, Keep up the great work. I would love to see Donald J. Trump eclipse glasses." Katie, I know who you are. You are, if I'm not mistaken, you are our friend Katie from Mount Horeb, right? Katie, just right. If I've guessed it correctly. That is wonderful, Katie. Thank you. It's so great to see that you've tuned in for my live stream. So it's awesome. All right. So this is Katie from Mount Horeb, if I'm not mistaken, because I know that spelling, Katy. Katie writes, "Yes, thank you." So Katie is a great friend of ours, um, and so wonderful to see Katie here. And Terry writes, "Hi, Katie." So wonderful. Thank you, Katie, for joining. I'm glad that you're here, and Katie, I'm hoping that you'll be able to tune in for more live streams. And Katie from Mount Horeb, wonderful friend. So welcome, Katie. Pamela writes, "I'm going to watch my neighbors. I live here in LA." So Pamela, pay attention to what the neighbors are doing. If the neighbors are gonna have their eclipse glasses, what they're gonna be doing, I don't know. Um, Pamela writes, "Hi, Katie." So Katie, you can see that everyone's giving you a warm welcome, Katie. Terry is writing, "Hi, Katie." Pamela is giving you a warm welcome. Pamela is from Los Angeles, California, and so yeah. Let me talk about tourism. Tourism dollars are going to go up. The communities that are on the path of totality, they are going to greatly benefit because of tourism, because of the great American solar eclipse tourism. As more and more people, not just from different parts of America, but from different parts of the world, as they make their way to Texas, to Arkansas, to Ohio, to Maine, to New York, as they go to all these communities, to Southern Illinois, people are going to be staying at hotels. They're going to be spending their dollars. They're going to be spending their dollars on buying food. They're going to be spending dollars on buying souvenirs, clothes, glasses, fashion items. People are going to be paying for parking. They are going to be buying gasoline. They are going to be traveling, and so there's going to be lots and lots of transactions. There's going to be lots and lots of economic activity in the communities that are on the path of totality of the eclipse, as well as surrounding communities. I mean, Chicago is not directly in the path of totality, but I know people are getting ready in Chicago to have a big day. There are going to be lots of people in Chicago getting ready to watch the eclipse, even if it's not like a complete, like 100% totality. People are still going to be enjoying whatever they can, provided that the clouds don't get in the way. And so overall, I think it's going to be huge economic impact for the communities on the path of totality, as well as the country as a whole. I just saw a news report from an Australian channel, and there are Australian tourists who are coming to the United States. They are flying in just for the eclipse. Can you imagine that? Okay, and I saw an interview of an individual who says that her life kind of revolves around eclipse because she travels to different parts of the world to view total solar eclipse. Okay, so the total solar eclipse, whenever it happens every few years, this person plans those trips years ahead of time because she likes to enjoy watching eclipse on different continents. Uh, Terry writes, one place is expecting 1.3 million increase in tourism. Tourism is going to get a huge boost. It's going to be great for those communities. It's going to be great for those small businesses. I just saw some place where they're selling like eclipse donuts. Okay, they're making special donuts. Some places are making special soaps. Some places are making special clothes. I mean, it's just like an eclipse, the Great American Solar Eclipse Festival that's going on here in the United States. Also, my friends, let me tell you, in Mexico, they are likely to have better weather. They are likely to have better sky conditions. So there's a higher likelihood of having clear blue sky to observe the eclipse. Obviously, when the eclipse happening, it's not going to be a bright and sunny, clear blue sky because the sun's going to be hidden behind the moon, and the sun's going to be upset. The sun's going to say, "How dare you, moon? How dare you block my path? How dare you block my sunshine?" But it's only going to be for 4 minutes and 28 seconds, right? So anyway, people are going to Mexico to see the eclipse because Mexico is likely going to have more clear sky. I don't know about Canada. The area around Niagara Falls, there's a lot of activity there. And Niagara Falls is a big tourist destination. Have you been to Niagara Falls? I've been to Niagara Falls. Who's been to Niagara Falls? Niagara Falls is beautiful, by the way. I saw Niagara Falls from the Canadian side. So I had the wonderful opportunity to see Niagara Falls from Canada. Anyway, let's see. Let's see some questions here. Pamela writes, I'm going to watch them. Pamela, there's some nice humor there. I see that. Terry writes, your neighbors are Californians. Oh, well, we'll be nice to the neighbors, right? Provided that the neighbors are also nice. Let's see. Terry writes, my brother is in California. Well, Terry, is your brother a conservative or not? I think you might have mentioned it to me previously. Pamela writes, Terry, you just answered my question. All right. See, everyone seems to be in great mood. You can feel it in this live stream. Everyone's in great mood. And we also have Katie from Mount Horeb, our good friend Katie, who has joined. I'm so happy to see Katie. And I'm hoping Katie can join again for future live streams. All right, my friends. I think it's important to make sure that people have enough food and water and medicine. Okay, food and water and medicine, because in those communities that are on path of totality, there's going to be lots and lots of traffic. There will be so many people from other parts of the world and from other parts of the country who are not going to be familiar with the communities, who are not going to be familiar with the roads. So you may see a lot of confused drivers looking at their GPS, trying to figure out which way to turn, and slowing down a bit before making a turn and making sure they're heading in the right direction. So all of this, I mean, think about this and just multiply it by the number of visitors. So you're going to have lots of visitors trying to navigate the streets and the roads and the highways of the communities that are in the path of totality, which means there's going to be heavy, heavy traffic. Lots and lots of traffic. And so, and Terry is writing, and toilet paper. Absolutely, Terry. Thank you for that excellent addition, that reminder that if you're planning to travel out of town, out of state, out of country, if you're coming to those communities in the United States that are in the path of totality, you need to make sure that you have enough food, water, medicine, and toilet paper. All right. Food is important because I'm sure the restaurant's going to be, the restaurants are probably going to have a great time. They're going to be selling a lot of food. But the restaurants will probably be full. So if it gets to the point where you are super hungry and you need food, but all the restaurants have long lines, it's good to have something in your backpack, in your car, in your pocket that you can eat and kind of address your hunger, even if for a temporary period, as you're waiting to have a nice meal, as you're waiting for the meal, as you're waiting in line to get a table at a restaurant. Just make sure you have maybe a chocolate bar or a protein bar, or a cup of yogurt or something, some fruits, some cookies, something uh, nice and that's good to eat. Hopefully a healthier option. Chocolates are probably not the best. Have some kind of food with you so that you don't run out of food. And if you're having to wait for a table at a restaurant, or if you're stuck in traffic and you need to get to an exit so you can go somewhere, grab a meal, but traffic's way too heavy and you're super hungry, just have some food in the car and have some water. Keep some water. Keep some water bottles, okay? And also medicine. Medicine is important because around the eclipse time, there may be physical changes that people experience. People may experience anxiety, sadness, uh, extreme joy. Who knows? And those emotions may translate into something physical. May have a physical manifestation. If people are anxious or they are sad, some people may get a headache, right? Or if you're stuck in traffic, some people may feel nauseous, uh, and so you have to be prepared with over the counter medications or whatever prescription medications that you take. Just keep some in your bag, keep some in your pocket, so that you have access to your medication when you need it. um, Pamela, great question. What about phone service? So this is also something that I was going to talk about, and Pamela mentioned it. So Pamela, I'm going to address it now. Phone service. Now, we know that um, electromagnetic pulse can disrupt electronic devices and phone service. We know that. Now, I'm not a physicist, I'm not a scientist, I can't tell you exactly how it works, but we know that electromagnetic pulse and solar flares can disrupt electronic devices and how these devices work, and can disrupt cell phone service here on Earth. Now, will there be any kind of solar flare tomorrow? Will there be any kind of electromagnetic pulse that will affect cell service? I don't know. I don't know all the science around eclipse. Okay, but what I do know is that, let's say you've got a small community, a village or a city of, I don't know, 5,000 people, a village of 5,000 people. Maybe it's a village that's in the path of totality, and now you've got 50,000 visitors in that small village, and everyone's using phones. They are on social media sending messages. They are browsing the internet. They are making phone calls. They are taking pictures and uploading pictures. And so there is a possibility that cell service may be disrupted because of heavy cell traffic, right? I mean, you've got the cell towers, but if there's an overcrowding of people in a certain community and everyone's using their cell phone, everyone's connected to the internet, they're making phone calls, and so can the towers, can the cell networks get jammed in a way that cell phone service may be disrupted? That may happen. Okay, that may happen. So that's something that people need to be aware of. I am not quite worried about that here in Wisconsin, but then again, if there are major disruptions in communities, that major cell phone disruptions, cell phone network disruptions in communities that are on the path of totality, going from Texas all the way to the northeast part of the country, then can those disruptions lead to disruptions nationwide. I don't know, once again, I don't know the scientific answer, but my common sense tells me that's very much possible. It can happen. And so, uh, let's see. Uh, so Terry writes, yeah, load up with Snickers so you don't get hungry. All right. Pamela writes, I come up with good questions once in a while. Pamela, you're coming up with great questions, so I appreciate that. And these are things I was going to address, but then you asked the questions before I could get to it. So I really appreciate that. That tells me that I'm not the only one thinking about these issues. Pamela is also thinking about the same issues that I'm thinking about. Let's see. Mm, Terry writes, yeah, crowds, not solar flares. Well, Terry, solar flares are possible. I'm not saying tomorrow, but solar flares can happen, right? Electromagnetic pulse. All right, let's see. But yeah, Terry agrees with me definitely that crowds can lead to disruption in cell service. Terry writes, if there's a solar flare, the moon is going to block it. The moon's going to say, hey, solar flare, I'm going to block you. But hey, the moon's not going to be blocking the sun the whole day. What about solar flares before or after? Before or after the eclipse? What about that? Pamela writes, what about the usage of credit cards? Well, cash is the best thing. So if you're going to a store, just use cash. If you completely rely on using a credit or a debit card, I don't know. Just best to have some cash with you in the pocket. But Pamela, ideally, you should plan ahead so that you're not having to be what was I going to say? You should plan ahead so that you don't have a huge grocery trip that you have to do tomorrow, okay? Because there may be traffic. I don't know about Los Angeles. There may not be much solar eclipse traffic in Los Angeles. Obviously, Los Angeles has a lot of traffic in general, but maybe not the solar eclipse traffic. But if you can get the groceries ahead of time, but we're just hours away from the eclipse. So if you didn't get your groceries yet, maybe go grocery shopping afterwards, or whatever purchases you have to do, just do it afterwards, I guess. Katie writes, I read that there might be comets in the sky right after the eclipse. One is called the Devil's Comet, and then, yes, Katie, one of our friends here on this live stream, not on this particular live stream, but one of the live streams that I did in the last few days, was it Arletta Jordan or Pam? Was it you? It was you, right? It was you who mentioned about the comet, right, Pamela? So anyway, I think, Pamela, it was you. Just remind me who it was who mentioned about the Devil's Comet. It was probably you, Pamela. If I'm mistaken, just let me know. Oh, you don't know? Then maybe it was Arletta Jordan. Maybe it was Arletta Jordan. I don't know if Arletta is here today, but I think if it wasn't Pam, then it was Arletta. But anyway, somebody mentioned the Devil's Comet on this on my channel during a live stream in the last 2 or 3 days, and so obviously so many things are happening at the same time. You've got the earthquake in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, the tri-state area, and then we've got those little bugs that are gonna. I always forget the name, and I can't pronounce that word. Is it cicadas? Is it cicadas? Those little bugs that are gonna come out from underneath the ground, and there will be trillions of them. So you think about the earthquake, and then you think about those bugs, and then you think about this upcoming eclipse, which is just few hours away, and then you think about the comet, the Devil's Comet. Oh my God! It seems like we're going through a very transformational period, right? A transformational period. Pamela writes, "What bugs?" I'm talking about the. Is it cicadas or the cicadas? It's Cicadas. Cicadas, I think. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Um, Terry writes, God's gonna get us. I don't know, Terry. Um, Terry writes, the comet will knock out everything if it hits the East Coast grid. Is the comet gonna hit the Earth? Oh, Terry writes, Circada. Circada. Okay, Circada. That's how to pronounce it. Uh, let's see. So, is the comet going to hit the Earth? Is that what we're expecting? I'm gonna have to find out now. Right. Okay. So, let's see. The Devil's Comet will reach. I haven't done much reading about the Devil's Comet, so I'm gonna have to find out. Let's see. The Devil's Comet. Yeah, Pamela writes, this is getting interesting. It definitely is getting interesting. But you know what? We shouldn't be afraid. Whatever happens, happens. We're gonna face it, right? Let's see. I'm not afraid. Okay, so I'm looking at a news article here. Devil's Comet, the Devil Comet, returns for the first time in 71 years. For the first time, so that was sound from this from my other screen. I clicked on a news article and the advertisement popped up, and I didn't have the computer on mute. So anyway, the Devil Comet returns for the first time in 71 years during the eclipse. Oh my God. What's going to happen? I don't know. What's going to happen? It's definitely getting interesting. Tom writes, goes over Devil's Lake. Devil's Lake in Sauk County, Wisconsin. That's going to be interesting if it goes over Devil's Lake. Tom, remind me, did you say you're from Wisconsin? I know you were there yesterday or the day before. See, I can't keep track of which live stream I did when. But are you from Wisconsin? Is that what you had said? Or are you from New York? I'm thinking you're from Wisconsin because you mentioned Devil's Lake, which is in Wisconsin. Oh, you're in upstate New York? So there's a Devil's Lake in Wisconsin. It's like less than an hour from where I live. More like 45, 50 minutes. So is there a Devil's Lake in New York also? Oh, there's a Devil's Lake in New York too. Devil's. No, I think I see a Devil's. Let's see, Devil's Lake, Kingston, New York. Is there a Devil's Lake in New York? Let's see. Devil's Lake. It seems like there's a Devil's. I'm gonna look it up now. Anyway, there's a Devil's Lake in Wisconsin. Okay, Katie is writing, right, the cicadas, anyway, I can't pronounce it still. Then the 7 cities named in the path of the totality of the eclipse. Carbondale, Illinois, in the intersection from the last eclipse. Carbondale, Illinois is also known as Little Egypt. Yeah, I'm going to have to do more studies here. Let's see. Devil's Lake, New York. So there is a very little Devil's Lake, a very tiny lake that's called Devil's Lake. It's in East Kingston, New York. Okay, it's in East Kingston, New York. There's a Devil's Lake, but it's a tiny one, it seems, and ours is pretty big. Uh, anyway, let's see. Pamela, right? Is there one in California? Are you asking about Devil's Lake in California? In California, is there a Devil's Lake? There's a very, very tiny Devil's Lake, I think, in California. And I don't even know where in California it is. Let's see. There, I'm going to the online map, and it seems like there's a very, very tiny, tiny lake called Devil's Lake in California. And it's close to, I don't even know where it is. I mean, I don't know the name of the city where it's at. Let's see. Devil's Lake, California. Okay, so in California, interesting information here. In California, there's a Devil's Lake, which is in, let's see. I'm on the website of USDA Forest Service, okay? So that's where I'm seeing this. There's a little Devil's Lake, very tiny, in California. And it says, I'm trying to find out. I think it's within a park. It's within a park. Anyway, you can look it up. You can look it up later. Pamela writes, probably at Newsom's house. Oh, that is interesting. Yeah, it's probably at Newsom's house, right? Devil's Lake. That's so funny. I'm having a lot of fun today. It's too long. I can't send the. Let's see. Okay. All right. Let me read some comments here. Pamela is laughing too. All right. So, as I was saying, my friends, what's going to happen tomorrow? Reportedly, some people cry when they see the eclipse. Some people, they laugh. And some people say that they feel goosebumps. But people react. Doesn't matter how they react. People react during an eclipse. Okay. What a great celestial event. And so, will there be impacts on animals on Earth? Will there be impacts on birds? Will birds be impacted by the eclipse? What about fish? What about What about the kingdom in the ocean? Right? People, not people, living beings, fish, whales, dolphins, whatever. How are they going to be impacted? What about plants? Plants are important. How will the trees be impacted? Anyway, what's interesting is that people are going to be probably holding their cell phones and point the cell phones towards the eclipse to capture video or image. And I think there are some guidelines on how to do it. Okay, you can't. I mean, you have to protect your eyes, so you can't just like hold up a cell phone, point it towards the eclipse, and then capture video or picture. You can't do that. There's a specific way. There are guidelines that you have to follow before you can capture video or image of the eclipse. Okay, because you can't look directly at the eclipse. So Terry has some funny comments here. What about corn, Terry? What's going to happen with corn? You wrote corn. What about corn? Let's see. What about the people economy? Okay. Uh, so what exactly about the economy? Well, the economy, I mean, it all depends. Uh, as I mentioned, the communities that are in the path of the eclipse, they are going to get an economic boost because of tourism, but obviously it doesn't change the fact that we are suffering from Joe Biden's inflation and Joe Biden's border crisis and all the poor economic policies of the liberals. Uh, Terry writes, new timeliness, better spell checker. So, all right. You know what I also saw? Here's the interesting thing. I mean, so many things are happening with regard to this eclipse. Now, I heard and I saw this in the news, and you can look it up, that Delta Airlines has, hold on, Delta Airlines has a flight, and I think not just one flight, there will be two special flights by Delta Airlines, and these flights will take place on Monday, and one is going to go from Austin to Detroit, from Austin, Texas to Detroit, Michigan, and the second flight will go from Dallas, Texas to Detroit, Michigan. And both of these flights are special flights because these are the solar eclipse flights. Okay, the flyers, the passengers of these flights will be able to witness the solar eclipse from what's being called the best vantage point possible, because they're going to be experiencing the solar eclipse from the plane, from the sky. And so what's going to happen is that these flights um, will be on a very specifically chosen path, which is the path of the eclipse. And there's going to be some kind of special detour, I think, over Missouri to kind of give the passengers the best possible view of the eclipse. And so I think the aircraft will perform some kind of um, I don't know how to explain it. I'm not a pilot. Like the plane will move in a certain way so that passengers on both sides of the plane can capture the view of the eclipse, can experience the eclipse. Okay, and so passengers also will be given like specialized glasses, obviously eye protection, and so this is interesting. And reportedly, these flights sold out in 24 hours. Okay, as soon as Delta released the information that they're going to do these two special flights, the flights were sold out in 24 hours. So there are people out there who are willing to pay significant amounts of money, all right, in order to experience the total solar eclipse from the sky. Just imagine. Okay, people are gathering here on the ground. They're camping. They're going to be out in the fields. They're going to be looking up to experience the eclipse. But there are people. There are people who are willing to pay lots and lots of money in order to experience the eclipse from the sky, from Delta Airlines flight, which is amazing, right? Uh, so while I complain about inflation and uh, high grocery prices, obviously there are folks out there who can afford the luxury of viewing total solar eclipse from Delta Airlines flights. I'm glad Delta is doing it, obviously, because when you supply the services, there will be demand. And obviously, in this case, the flights sold out in 24 hours. Pretty amazing. Pamela writes, what about the Axis underground, under the world? Very interesting question, Pamela. I don't know what exactly is going to happen. I was hoping to do a little bit more reading about it, but I have not been able to do it. Terry writes, AI is going to get us, meaning artificial intelligence. That's what Terry is referring to. Terry, um, I like the natural intelligence more than the artificial intelligence. Okay? I like to think I'm intelligent. I don't know. I may be wrong, or maybe I'm not. Uh, let's see. Pamela writes, I'm saying the magnetic fields. Will the magnetic fields change? Will the magnetic fields change? I don't know. But obviously, it's all about gravity. Um, you've got the sun, you've got the moon. The moon has a gravitational pull. The Earth has a gravitational pull. What's going to happen? I don't know. It's just too hard to explain. I wish I was a scientist. That'd be great. Okay. Terry writes, U.S. had a total eclipse in 2017. Well, Terry, U.S. did have a total eclipse in 2017. That's when we had the great Donald Trump in the White House. And like I said, Donald Trump had his glasses on, the eclipse glasses. He looked at the eclipse, then he took the glasses off, and he still looked up with naked eyes. Anyway, that was captured on camera. But um, yes, US did have a total eclipse in 2017, but this one is being named as the Great American Total Solar Eclipse. For some reason, this is a big news. Um, Terry writes, "Oh my God, it's a sign Donald will be elected." Oh my God, yes, I think that is the sign. I think the moon is trying to say we're gonna get Donald back in the White House. Wouldn't that be amazing? Uh, Katie writes, the magnetic field is supposed to flip. It's a long process. Is it gonna flip? Is it already flipping? How long is it gonna be? I don't know. I'm glad that on my channel there are some very intelligent questions and people are sharing information. It's great. I mean, I feel great about this. We're having a great conversation here, and that's the whole purpose. We want to learn from each other. We want to share information. We want to share our views and opinions. And we can agree, we can disagree. That's fine. We're all friends. We're having a conversation here. So, like I said, I believe that this eclipse is going to be a transformational event. Um, some may disagree, others may agree. We have to wait and see. Uh, Pamela is applauding, and Katie is writing, yes, make America great again 2024. What a great year. What a great year. We're going to elect Donald Trump. That's what's going to happen. All right, my friends. Um, so let's see. Tomorrow is going to be very interesting, and I published a video earlier this evening talking about the eclipse, and here I am still talking about the eclipse. I'm going to be thinking about the eclipse when I go to bed at night. And anyway, so I do have a little bit of like cold, and I don't know, my throat doesn't feel 100%. And so, I'm like, is it the eclipse having an impact on me? I don't know. But, we have to wait and see. Now, one thing I will tell you is that as much as I am discussing the eclipse, I'm not going to be watching it. I'm not going to be looking at the eclipse. I'm not going to do that. Okay? And that's why I don't have eclipse classes, because I chose not to prepare for the eclipse, because I'm not going to watch it. I'm not looking up at the sun with eye protection, without eye protection. I'm not doing it. I am not interested. Obviously, I'm interested in what the eclipse does to the earth, but I don't have an interest in looking up and seeing the eclipse. Okay, it's by choice. I could do it. All I would have to do is get in the car, drive a few miles, go to Southern Illinois, but I'm not doing it. Let's see. Pamela writes, with the magnetic field, we're going to be upside down. Are we going to be upside down? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Um, uh, Tom is writing, it does not matter who we vote for. What matters is who counts the vote. Well, see, election integrity continues to be a big topic. It continues to be a big topic. We want to see free and fair elections in the United States. And a lot of people have lost their faith in the elections process, okay? And I'm saying it as my observation because I talk to a lot of people who believe that the electoral process is not free and fair, okay? And some believe that the electoral process is free and fair. People have different opinions, but I'm seeing that a huge chunk of the population, based on my observation, are have lost confidence in elections. And so that's why, when I see Tom's comment, that's what I'm thinking, that we need to have elections in a way that people can have faith in the results. But obviously, um, as we know from the 2020 election discussion and all the things that people still continue to say, some people say the election was fair, some people say it wasn't fair. So the conversation continues, the debate continues, and in 2024, I think, um, as a country, we want to make sure that it's free and fair election and that people can have faith in the election. So we'll have to wait and see. Uh, Pamela writes, "I'm not either, Tosif." So Pamela, you're not gonna watch the eclipse either, right? You're not gonna watch the eclipse. You're not looking up. All right. All right. Okay. So, my friends, it's going to be a great day. We're just hours away from the eclipse. Can you imagine that? We're just hours away. It's going to be interesting. And, tomorrow I'm not planning on doing a live stream. So, I just want to say that ahead of time. I'll try to do a live stream on Tuesday, but tomorrow I'm not going to be doing a live stream. But I'm going to be reading lots of news updates about the eclipse. I'm going to be finding out what people think about the eclipse, where there are clouds or clear skies. I'll share all that information with you afterwards on Tuesday. Katie writes, Mount Horeb was one of the only few places with electronic poll books that could. My husband and I had to sign in electronically. So we're having conversations about elections. We can talk all day about election. I mean, you know, um, all I'll say is that people will have to have faith in the elections. And so, what can we do to ensure election integrity? What can we do to make sure that people can trust the results of the election? Because obviously, a huge part of the population don't have faith in the elections process. And so, as a country, there's room for improvement when it comes to elections. And so, anyway, I am hoping and praying that Donald Trump gets elected. I'm hoping and I'm praying that Donald Trump gets elected as the president. And I'm hoping and praying that in January of 2025, it is Donald Trump who gets sworn into office of the president. That's what I'm hoping for. Pamela writes, I had fun. Thank you, my friends. Thank you so much. Tom writes, pray. My friends, I'm going to be wrapping up this live stream here. We are past 1 hour, 18 minutes. I have a few things I need to do after I conclude this live stream. So thank you so very much, everyone, for joining. And there's going to be a lot more things that we need to discuss that we will talk about tomorrow. Katie writes, what websites and where are people watching the eclipse? ABC is doing live coverage and some YouTube sites. Prayers for Donald J. Trump to be elected too. So, Katie, I don't know what websites people are going to be following to watch the eclipse. I think you can turn into any of the national networks. I guess just turn on Fox News and maybe you'll see some updates there. I think YouTube will have coverage. I'm guessing lots of YouTubers may be live streaming it, on social media, on YouTube. I'm guessing that might happen. And yes, prayers for Donald J. Trump. Terry writes, I'll be on YouTube, lots of options. Tom is giving me the thumbs up. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Terry, for joining. Katie, wonderful to see that you've joined. I hope you can join more live streams. Always wonderful to see you. Hopefully, we'll see you in person soon. Um, and Katie, let me ask you, are you coming on the 13th? The second Congressional District Caucus, are you coming to that? It's going to be in Cross Plains, very close to Mount Horeb. So I'm hoping Katie will be there. I'll be the featured speaker talking about immigration on April 13th, the second Congressional District Caucus. Katie writes, thanks, Tassif. All right, Katie, thank you. And Pamela Hernandez, thank you so much. Terry Dunlap, thank you so much. And others who have joined for the live stream, thank you all very, very much. I know a lot of people joined. Not everyone commented on the chat window. I want to thank you all for joining. Katie writes, I might be there. So you're not sure, Katie. That's okay. Just let me know if you're going to be there. I'll look forward to seeing you if you're going to be present at the 2nd Congressional District Caucus. My friends, thank you so very much. We're past 1 hour, 21 minutes. I'm going to keep this live stream, shorter than the live stream that we had yesterday. I do enjoy having these conversations. I'm going to be right after the live stream. I have a few things I need to do. And also, I'll be watching more news updates as the updates arrive pertaining to the eclipse. So thank you, everyone. Terry Dunlap, Tom, Katie, Pamela Hernandez, and others who have joined. Thank you so very much. I'll be back again with more videos and more live stream. Please stay connected to my channel and tell your friends to subscribe to my channel. Okay? Pamela writes, Tassif, take care of yourself. I will try my best. I will try my best. And let's just pray that everything goes well tomorrow. Thank you, my friends. Have a wonderful night. I'll be back again with more videos and more live stream very soon. Thank you.